again, some of you have been on the Linux system, you played around with it, right? I know Bajo was on it yesterday. If you have Windows, right, then you know what this C drive is, right? The /C. That's the mount point. That's what we call the root of your operating system. On Mac, your root of your operating system, for those who have Mac, I can show you right now what your root is. So especially for Linux, this slash you see right here, the first, that's the root. That's where everything starts, on your operating system. So everything gets built off of the slash. So from the slash, now you can have /bin. So what happens is, if you are at this mount point right here, which is a slash, right? To go to /bin, you just change your directory to the next, to cd bin, right? Basically, that's what it is. And we did cd yesterday. We're going to do it again today. But you just go cd bin and you're back to your next directory. If I want to move from the mount point to Etsy, it's just cd/Etsy and you're already in Etsy, right? So you're changing directory. So this is our base for our mount point, and then you can start, navigating to all these folders. And this is a better visualization. So you come from your mount point, and you can access bin, Etsy, home, up, temp, and temp. Guys, temp means temporary. So, which means that if I had a program or anything for that matter, if you store anything in temp, you have to make sure that you use it, because once the machine boots, right? Once you turn off your machine and you turn it back again, it disappears. So that's why it's called a temp folder. So it's kind of important if you want to run, there's some programs that you just want to download, run, right? But you don't need the binaries. You can download those in temp. You execute, install the program, and then you can just leave the binaries in there in temp. Once you reboot your machine, it's going to automatically delete them. So that's what temp is for. So, and then var is where you're going to see your log files and things like that. User is where you see the different users and the download. So home is for /home. So you see /home, for example, if I create a user, once we start doing user management, you're right, if you create a user, right? If you create a user, let's say Nelson, your user is going to have a home directory. So that's where you store your own programs. If like for your admin user that we're using right now, our admin user is when you log in, it takes you directly to your home, right? So when you log in, when you say admin user, admin password, this is where it takes you to your home. And then if you go back one directory, guess what it's going to take you? It's going to take you to this mount point right here, to your root. So yeah, that's essentially how Linux is structured. It's not complicated, guys. It's like, it's very, very organized, and it's very, very, if you understand how Linux is structured, you're good to go. You won't have any problem. It's basically the same thing. If I come from home, I know we did the backward, the cd ... yesterday. We're going to do it again today. But if you're at your home directory, you do your cd ... it's going to take you back to your mount point. So now you essentially be at the top of your root directory, right? So that's kind of how it's structured. And then you can start to see there's JSON, there's path, there's documents, there's download, there's music. All those are subdirectories that build off of the main parent directory. So that's pretty much how Linux is. So every program you see on Linux is located in one of these: home, bin, Etsy, up, temp. It could be anything, but just know every program has a parent directory, and they all result from this mount point. So it's very important. I know we talked about shell. This is essentially what the shell is, guys. This is a shell. I know we've all seen this. When they say Linux shell, this is what the shell is, right? The shell is just where I can come and type, right? This is my shell. This is my shell right here. And it's very important for you to understand what the shell is, because that's where, when you get your job and they say, okay, Bajo, I want you to go in there and install an application. I want to go in there and check what's wrong with this system. Once you log in, this is what you see. You're going to see the shell. You're not going to see any fancy Google Chrome or anything. No, you're going to see the shell, and this is where you're going to work from. So that's why it's so important. Everything you're going to do on your system, you're going to work with the shell. So it's basically our interface. There's no GUI, there's no typing. So I know we talked through this, and obviously this is our prompt. I'll just show you. This is a prompt. You see the $sign? That's a prompt.
I have a question that.
Yeah.
So the shell and the terminal, what's the difference between them?
It's basically the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we call it shell. In Linux, we call it the Linux shell, right? It's basically a Linux terminal, pretty much. So that's basically what it is. But yeah, I mean, that was a good call out. But anyway, so this is another thing that you have. Yeah.
So we have the VirtualBox installed on our computers, right?
Yeah.
Whatever we do on that VirtualBox, is it stored locally or is it stored in the VirtualBox in the cloud? It may be a stupid question, sorry.
Well, no, the VirtualBox is not actually in the cloud. It's actually stored on your machine. Remember when we installed the VirtualBox, we gave it memory, right? Where do you think the memory was coming from? It was your computer's part of your computer's memory that you're assigning to VirtualBox. You basically telling VirtualBox you can use up to this memory in my machine, right? And if you store fast, you're basically storing it in your computer, but VirtualBox is managing it.
Managing it. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
basically what's happening. Yeah,
Thank you.
so yeah. So this is important, the super user, right? Every company you go to, every company you work for, right? If you're the DevOps engineer, you're basically going to have the super user privilege, right? You want to be careful with it. As a root or as a super user, you can do basically anything. You can destroy that system. You can bring it up. You can access any program, right? So if you have your folder, your user, you have programs in your machine. If I'm the super user, I can access them. I can delete them. I can edit them. So the super user is so powerful that you have to restrict them to specific people, in the company. But like right now, you're the admin user for the CentOS. It means you're the super user, right? You can do anything you want, but you can also switch to a user called root. Let me do that real quick so you guys can see. So if I try to switch to, if I try to do, let's say, this is just a basic command. If I try to do this, if I had this, you see, guess what? Which user am I now, guys? Root. So you can switch to your root user. It's basically another admin user. When you go to mail systems, when you switch to sudo, it's going to take you to the root, which is what they're basically saying the super user. It's called the root user. And with that, you can cause all kinds of damage with it, guys. Anyway, so you just have to be careful the way you use it. So now I exited to back to my old user. So everywhere you go, every company you go, you're gonna have that, they're gonna give you that privilege. So you gotta be careful what you do with it, because as you will see with Linux, there's no coming back. When you do most things in Linux, there's no, how do you call it, recycle bin? Linux doesn't have a lot of recycle bin, guys. So when you delete something, when you manipulate something, you basically, that's it, So you gotta be careful with what you do with Linux. So these are some of the basic commands that we're gonna work on yesterday. I know we started in, we're gonna do some practice real quick. LS, like I just said, is to list your contents. CD is to change directory. PWD is to display your present working directory. Your cat is to display the outputs of a file. Echo, just display arguments. Man is important, guys, because, for example, any command in Linux has a man, which means a manual. So instead of going online on Google and Googling, what can I do with this command? You could just man it and it's going to tell you everything you need to do about command. Exit is to exit and declare. So we're going to do some practice with these guys. If you want to step on your terminal, you can step on your terminal real quick. And we could start doing those commands one after the other. So are you guys ready, guys? So I'm going to go real quick and just do ls. And now it's listing every directory, every file that's currently in where I'm working on, right? That directory I'm working on. So guys, did you guys try that?
I have a question, please.
Yeah.
When you did the sudo su, I
Yeah.
did the same thing on my computer. It took me to password for administrator, and then now I can't go back.
Did you put the password for the administrator?
No, I did it. Oh, I have to put the same admin user.
If you put the same admin user, it will work, but you can try Control C and see if it exits.
Control C.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it exits. Yeah.
So are you back? All right. So
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, guys, with Control C, you can terminate any program running on Linux. So even if you're running an application, anything, and let's say you want to just like stop, like basically, once you hit Control C, it automatically sends an input to the machine saying terminate right away. It's like sending like a what we're gonna. So anyway, guys, once you try ls, the next one is, since you have ls, you're gonna see some files that are white. If you have files that are white, you might not. But if you look on my screen, these white files, those are actually files, and then the blue ones are directories, right? So the files, you cannot get into it because they're basically files. But the directory, the next command we're going to try is the cd, which is just change directory. So try cd space, and then one of the blue ones, you can go into any one of them if you want. So just because I'm being funny, I'm going to try the music. I'm going to go cd music. I'm sure you guys have music as well. And it's going to take me into music. So now I'm in music. So cd music, cd, any of the blue file, any of the blue is a directory. So cd space, the name of that directory, and it should take you right into it. So it's cd, changing directory. And then you can, when you go in there, I know there's nothing in the music, but I usually
it says no.
Sorry?
It says no such file or directory.
Wait, did you, when you type ls, you see music?
So I did music.
I
did cd space music. Do we have to put the slash?
Well, well, did you look at it? Make sure you have to understand one thing. Linux is sensitive with whatever. If it's a caps, you have to put a cap, right?
Oh yeah, I just see that. I see that.
I was just about to say that I had it, but it worked with caps.
Yeah, you have to, man. Linux, bro, think about it. You're submitting commands, right, to a machine. So how is this machine going to know you mean the capital music or the small? So it has to be very strict. Otherwise, you might go and destroy a file that you don't want to destroy, right? So you have to be very, very accurate when you're working with Linux. So that's basically cd. You can do that for any directory, and you can keep going and going and going. And another command that we want to try is a pwd, which means your present working directory, right? So I'm going to do my pwd right now. It's going to tell me exactly where I am. I am in home, admin, user, music. Yeah, this is important, guys, because sometimes you don't know where you are. You want to know where you are so you can know when to how many steps you want to go backwards, or how many steps you want to go forward. Or you might be writing a script and you want to fit where you are to a script so that script can be able to work, right? You need pwd. So that's the next one. These are just basic command, guys. Let's keep up. Let's keep up. Let's see how Linux can work. So pwd is the next one. And I'm recording this guys, so. Anyway, while you guys are practicing, I'm just gonna. And there's another command. I know we talked about that, but to go back to go back to your parent directory, guys. I know we talked about this today. Can anybody remember?
Is it the dot?
It's a double dot, yeah. So change directory double dot will take me back to my parent directory. So if I ls, I'll see that I'm back to where music, downloads, and everything were, right? Because I'm back one directory. So we have that, and then another one that we're going to try is going to be, it's called cat, right? And guys, cat is basically you're saying you wanna display the contents of a file, right? So cat, I'm gonna cat. So I have some files here. I don't know if you guys have any files, but I have a file here called my cat. So I'm gonna see if there's anything in there. So I'm gonna try to display the contents of that file. And guys, you see, it displays the contents of that file. So if you have any file in your machine, you wanna see what's in there, you can try cat, right? And the next one is manual. So I know, guys, I'm sure we're pretty familiar with ls, but let's just say you didn't know what ls was, and you wanted to find out how can I use ls, right? You try the manual. Just say man ls, and it's going to open you a whole documentation. So, guys, Linux has this documentation for every command that you run on Linux. every command I run on Linux has a manual. It tells you that with ls, if you put ls-a in, it tells you exactly what you need to do. ls/b, everything you see here, guys, you can try them. So in case you had some questions about what do I need to do with this file, you have a manual right here for you. I mean, you take some getting used to, guys, but once you practice and practice, you understand that no, I don't need to go to Google to understand what this command does. I can just get my manual right on my machine. And then to exit, you just quit. You just hit Q and you exit. And then if I wanted to exit my shell, you don't want to do that right now. It's basically just type exit and it's going to exit out of the shell.
Yeah.
And then obviously we've done clear. Clear is to clear your screen.
First one. Use clear to clear your screen, and you can also use Control C.
No, Control C is to terminate a program or an execution. Yeah, it's very different. Clear doesn't do anything. It just clears the screen. It doesn't affect anything.
Oh,
basically. Yeah. So these are the commands, guys. These are the basic Linux commands that we've just practiced.
So I discovered something. Once you clear the screen, so your job is pretty much saved. Because when I scroll after clearing the screen, when you scroll up, you can see some of the previous things you've done.
Obviously, clearing the screen doesn't like what you mean. It doesn't like clear everything and just no. It's there. It just moves everything up.
Okay.
Basically, so you can have a full set of working page to work with. Yeah, but that was a good catch though. Yeah, but yeah, clear your screen just brings you a brand new page. But whatever you've been working on, you can still scroll up and you see it. Now what you say, no easy.
Question, please.
Yeah.
So let's say you're working, right? You're working and you've been working for 2 hours and you have a big screen of everything. You have a long screen containing everything you've been doing since you started. Then for some reason you make a mistake and you clear up everything. Is there a way you could get it back, or you've lost everything you've done already?
You mean if you type in clear?
Yeah, if you type in clear or Control C and execute, whereas you meant to do something else, and then you just clear your screen of everything.
If you hit Control C, it's not your history is still gonna be there. If you want to scroll up, Control C just terminates whatever program is running on the Linux machine, whether it's in the background or it's in the foreground. It's going to terminate that. Clear, like Felix just pointed out, if you scroll up, you can see some of the files that you just worked on.
Now, I guess my question was, if you accidentally
close the Linux shell.
Yes, sir. Is there a way to come back where you left off?
Actually, there's a way you can not come back to that same page, but you can see a history of all the commands that you've ever run in Linux. And give me a second. Let me see. It's not that complicated. You see. So this is basically all the commands I've been running for. So yeah. So guys, if you wanted to see, what have I been running? What have I been practicing with? Just type history. And it's going to give you a history. Usually this one, history of all the commands you've been running so far. So guys, you should try that and see what you get.
Pulls up everything. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it pulls up everything, right?
Yes, sir.
And one more technique that I'll tell you guys. Let's say, for example, there's a command in your history that you like, and you want to execute it without typing it, right? Let me make sure I have that command right. But I remember, right? You use this. You see that? And then that's a, how do you call it? Is it Islam? How do you even call this?
Exclamation sign.
This is the exclamation sign. This is embarrassing. Anyway, you type your exclamation sign and you type the number of on the history. You see, each history has a number, right? Just type exclamation sign. Just put the number of the command that you want to rerun and press enter and see what happens. What happens, guys? Yeah, that's a nice little technique. It runs the command for you, right?
Yes, sir. It just takes you there.
It just takes you there right away and it runs it. And you press enter, yeah, it runs it for you. So that's another lazy way of running commands. But yeah, usually the history will help you because sometimes you come to a system, you've been typing so many commands and you just want to go back and just pull out a certain command. You type history, comes out, you put question mark, the number of that command you like, and there you go. So there's thousands and thousands of shortcuts in Linux, guys. Once you understand the foundation of Linux, you're good to go. And I know we talked about the cd and the cd dot dot. I know you guys know this now. And the dot is the current directory. And then the cd dot dot is to go back one directory. So this is very important, guys. You should. I know we already practiced this. So I cd into desktop. It has to be caps. I cd into desktop. You guys, imagine there's no way you can work on Linux without going back and forth between directories. So basically, the cd dot dot you're looking right now, you're going to use it every time you work with Linux. Almost every time you work with Linux, you're going to have to use cd dot dot because you have to move back and forth between files, back and forth. So I'm going to go into the directory, my desktop, pwd, and it's telling me I'm in the desktop, right? Remember, pwd is to tell you where you currently are. I go cd space dot dot. And guess what? It takes me back. And if I put pwd, where am I? I'm in the admin. It took me one step back. And if I ls, I'm back in my old directory. So these are the basic, manipulations you have with Linux. And let's see. What do we have? Oh, guys, this is another. We're starting to get into some of the fun part. So I'm recording this video, guys, and I have these slides. I'm going to upload the slides. I'm trying to make sure that by next week we have everything somewhere guys can access them. So, anyways, this is another cool. So, when you want to make a directory, I know, guys, most of us remember directory. When we say directory, we know it's a folder. Remember when you create a folder on your Windows, whatever it is, in Linux, we call them directories. So to make a directory, instead of right-clicking and saying, and going to next and creating new folder as you do it on Linux, it's just one command with Linux, make D, and you give the name of the directory and it creates it for you, right? And then if you want to delete the directory, it's rmd, and then the name of the directory and it removes it for you. But guess what? If the directory has files in it, rmdir is not going to work. You have to use the rm/rf. That's the one that's going to remove a directory that has files in them. And guys, like I said before, be very careful when you're using commands like im-if because there's no recycle bin. So if you use rm/rm on any file, that's very important. You're never going to see it again, guys. It's gone. It's gone for good. So let me go in and let's practice this real quick. Let me make a few directories, guys. So the first one is to make a directory. So I want to make a directory called DevOps training. So make D. I'm just going to call my directory DevOps. There it is. And if I type ls, guys, you see my DevOps is in there. Yeah, I just made a folder, but we call them directory, guys. Don't go to interview and say you're making folders or anything. It's a directory. So yeah, you see my DevOps is in there. And if I wanted to remove that directory, and you guys, you can cd into that directory. You can go cd DevOps and we take you in there. And I'm going to remove that directory with the rm dir and then DevOps. And guys, you see, if I type ls, it's gone. It's been deleted for me.
Wait, hold on. 1 second. So the RM.
Yeah, Bajo, I'm hearing you.
The RMDIR command was to delete that directory.
Well, yeah, you tell it, you have to give it what to delete, right? So if you give it DevOps, it's going to delete DevOps.
All right, I understand.
Yeah, any directory. So when you say IMDII, if you just type that, the machine is probably going to give you an error because it's waiting for you to give it a directory so you can delete it. So guys, I'm just getting some feedback that my screen is kind of really small. It's hard to see. So I'm trying to expand it. It's like my machine is struggling to survive. Anyway, there we are. So I'm going to continue. So I know we're talking about just making directories, removing directories, and deleting them. So I was able to, we created DevOps by using maked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 directories. There's a command. If you look on my screen, right here, there's a command. You see the /p right here, guys? The /p means parent, which means that it's a short form, which means that if I wanted to create a directory, like Bajo, I know you're asking me if there was a DevOps and then there was a Ramesh in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to create all those 4 directories in one, you have to use some issues here, guys. But anyway, so that's essentially what the Linux command is. The P is for. The P is for you to create the parent directory as well. So I'm going to create DevOps. Let's see, DevOps. Okay. My computer has been acting up ever since. Okay, so okay, I see what the issue was. The issue was, as you can notice, the issue was the slash, this slash right here. The issue was this slash right here. So guys, just keep that in mind. But the /p works as usual. So now what is done is it's not just created DevOps, but it's going to create Linux inside of DevOps. So if I put ls, there's DevOps. If I go cd into DevOps, hopefully there's Linux in there. ls, and you see Linux in there, guys?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that for 10,000 different mount points. So I could, let me go back. So cd into my admin user. So I could do this for, let's try another one. I could do this for DevOps. I could do this for training, class, Boris, not that Boris, anything, guys. You could put this multiple times. You could put about 10 of this parent, and this will be the parent, chain will be the parent, the child, the next child, the class will be the parent of the Boris, just like that. And you could just put the /p and you wouldn't have to create all those multiple directories at once. So this prevents you from going into DevOps, creating Linux, and then going to Linux, creating Ramesh, and then going to Ramesh and creating Bajo. No, you can just do everything at once with that /p. So that's the power. So I'm going to do the remove and try to remove DevOps, and let's see what it tells us. You see what it's telling me, guys?
Yeah,
It won't remove it. And you know why?
it says not empty.
Exactly. And to remove an empty file, this is the command you need. To remove a file that has documents in it, you need this command, rm-rf. And now if I type DevOps and I remove it, and guys, like I said before, this is a dangerous command. This command will remove, even if you had, you know, all your account, you know, the login to your Bitcoin wallet. If you had it in that DevOps and you use this command, guys, it's done. You know, all your Bitcoin is gone. Yeah, man. So be careful. So if I look now, DevOps, there's no DevOps. DevOps is gone. And the Linux that was in DevOps is also gone.
Wow.
So that, yeah. So that's how you delete things that directories that have contents in it. Any question, guys?
So when you delete in that way, can it be retrieved?
No, it's gone. It's gone forever. Linux is not like Windows. There's no recycle bin. It's gone forever, ever. So you have to be very careful. As powerful as Linux is, guys, it can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Imagine if you did this with a company. Imagine you had a company database, right? And a backup of your company's database. And for some reason, you tried to restore it when the system was down, and you tried to restore it, and then by mistake, you deleted it instead. That's it, guys. No, your data is gone. You're never going to see it again. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're using commands like that in Linux. Anyway, guys, we're going to proceed to the next. So I know I was talking about listings, file types to review files. The slash, like we just saw, is for directories. R is for link, and the star is for executable. And this is kind of what I was trying to show before. So if I wanted to list file by time, right, it's going to be ls/t. If I wanted to list them in reverse order, it's going to be ls/r. The R stands for reverse. And if I wanted a long listing, the L stands for long listing. And then A stands for I want all the files, even including the hidden files. And then the T stands for I also want it in by time. And then the R also stands for reverse. So you're pretty much, the last command, you're pretty much doing everything you want. So I'm going to go ahead and do it in practice so you can see, guys. And these commands are important. And I'll keep telling you, as I do them, I keep telling you why these commands are important in Linux. So the first one is ls/t. So what it's doing right now is listing these files by the time they were created. And I can definitely tell you guys that I created this 8 as text. That was the last file I created on my desktop. If you want to see it in order, I'll just create a directory right now called DevOps. Real quick. And if I run that same command, and guys, another thing that I can tell you, to go to your previous command, or to go to the previous command, or to just keep going to your previous commands, just tap up on your keyboard. So if I wanted to go to the command I just ran, just tap the up on your keyboard and it will take you to that command. So what do we see, guys? Now the DevOps is the first file that was listed because now I'm listing it by time that it was created. And the next one that we're going to work with is to list the file in reverse order, which, I mean, I don't know why we're going to use this, but it might be important. And there we go. In reverse order, is basically reverse alphabetical order, if you will. And you can see videos is coming first. So if you wanted to list your files in alphabetical order from the Z all the way to A, you use the /R. And then let's use a long format. LATR. You see, guys? So like I said, the -L means I want it in long format, which means I want every information, the permissions right here, the owner of the file, when it was created, the date, and what kind with the name of the file. right here. This is a long format. A means A, and then by time, and then in reverse order, guys. So this is essentially the ultimate. But when you start working as a Linux engineer, the one you basically mostly use is ls-la, long format, and I want all of it. And it's going to basically give you the same thing, and you can start to see some more information about the file. The ones that you see, guys, you see the dots in front of the file?
Yes.
The dots, these files are hidden files, which means that if you type ls, you're not going to see those files because they're hidden files. So for example, if I wanted to hide something on my desktop, or if I wanted to hide a file Bajo, I'll just create that file and make sure the name of the file starts with the dot. And the file is automatically hidden. Any question, guys?
So far, so good.
All right, so now we're going to go talk about some very, very important concept, guys. I want you to pay attention to this. Now we're going to talk about permissions, right? Just like every system, you want to talk about permission, like who owns what, right? Who owns this file, who owns that file? And in Linux, it's very, very important because if you're working for a company, right, you want to be able to manage the files and be able to manage who can access which file, who can access. There's some files that are very sensitive, and you want to make sure certain users cannot access that file. So in Linux, the U always stands for the user. The G always stands for group, and the O always stands for other, or O or all. Every user has at least one group. For us, we are the admin user, and our default group is going to be admin group. And now you can start to create multiple groups and adding your users to it if you wanted to. Like users can belong to many groups. And if you type the groups on your terminal, you should be able to see what groups your user is in. So if you type groups on your terminal right now, it's going to tell you admin user. And if there's any other group that you're in, the machine is going to tell you. And then if you wanted to know what kind of user he was, it's actually funny. You just type on your machine, who am I? My mind, they start with so many W's. So who am I, guys? It tells you what your username is. So, I can tell you multiple ways how I can use this. But if I had a script where I wanted to fit that username in a script, right? I could say who am I and fit that output into a variable and then use that variable in my script. And the script knows exactly who's running it. I could try to verify a user and I'll use my who am I to see if that user is allowed to access that script. And once the script executes as a who am I, it can tell me which user executed that script. And the user has no permission to access that file. I could block that user pretty much. So all these things, guys, you can use them when you start looking at bash scripts. You see how you can use some of these things. But anyway, who am I? Groups will tell you exactly what groups you're in. You're an admin user and you're in the wheel group. And you can also use id/dn. No, I never use that, guys. So essentially, I know when I listed the ls/la, we saw this, right? And we saw something like this. And what essentially this is telling you what user group it is. So this one in the middle is a group, right? This one, the first one is the owner, and then this last one is other, right? So I know we talked about, there's the owner of a file, there's a group of a file, and then there's the order of a file, which means any other person, pretty much. That's what it is. So if you're not the owner, or if you're not the group of the people that own that file, you're just an order, right? And with that, you can start to assign permissions to a file and say, okay, I want people in this group to be able to access this file, but anybody that's not in this group or who's not the owner, they can't be able to access this file, right? So that's how you can start managing your user and user management to a file. So I'm going to show you in real life guys, if you go to your machine, you see right here, if I type the same ls-la, you can see all the files on your machine, right? And when you see admin user, you know, it's telling you who the owner of that file is. The owner of that file is admin user. The group of that file is admin user, as you can see on that screen. Guys, if you can see my screen, I'm gonna try to expand it real quick again. Oops. And then on the left, where you see the RWX, right? The arrow, guys, stands for read. The W stands for write, and the X stands for execute. And you can just read the file. So you can do cat on the file, and you can see what's in it. Write means I can actually go there and edit that file, or edit that document, and make changes to it. So guys, yeah, those are very important aspects of Linux, because you're going to have file permissions, you're going to have issues with permissions, and you need to understand these things. And then now you as an admin user, or if you're not, as an admin user or as an owner of a file, you can change the mode of a file. So I can change this file. I can say, okay, I want to give Boris access to this file. Yeah, guys, so as an owner of a file, or as a admin user, you can change who can execute a file. And the way you change it is to use what we call mode. So what's happening is, when you see the read, write, and the execute on the Linux, those are called modes, right? In Linux, they are called mode. So essentially, change mode or ch mode means to change. We're going to do some practice, guys, so don't worry. And there's other ways you can do it. There's user, there's group, there's other, there's all. You can also use you can also add, minus, subtract. And this is it, the read, write, execute, guys. So we're going to do some practice here real quick, but I just want to do the basics so you guys can understand. So in our Linux permissions, for you, if you want to provide permissions to a user, right? If I want to provide you a read access, the number is called number 4. So if I provided 4 to a permission, it means I'm only providing read access. 2 is write, and 1 is execute. So guys, tell me, if I wanted to provide read, write, and execute permissions, what number should I be providing to that user? Can someone shout it out real quick? Like I said, to provide someone read access is the number 4. Write access is the number 2. And then execute is number 1. So if I wanted to provide, let's say, Bajo, read, write, and execute. No, just if I wanted to provide you read, and write access, what number should I be providing you? What mode should I be putting you in? 5?
No, 4 and 2.
4 and 2.
So, but you have to add it together. 4 plus 2,
you have to add
6.
it. Oh, 6.
Oh,
You have to give the number 6. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And if I wanted to give that file, give that person all read, write, and execute permissions, I have to give him 7.
7, yep.
Yeah, you have to change your mode to 7. And that you can apply that to the owner, groups, and to other. And guys, if you provide the 7 to other, it means you're basically saying, no offense, but you're saying that this is I don't know, Chantel Billy. How do you call those, it's wide open pretty much. Like, guys, you can jump in and do whatever you need to do with this.
Just share money, share your file, do whatever they want to do.
Yes, now back there. Now back there, any man jump.
If someone has that, then they have.
You belong to the
Right.
streets, man.
Huh? Yeah, so pretty much. So guys, you want to be careful when you're doing this. So, and then what happens with Linux is, I'm trying to get that annotate oh, we have annotate right here. Oh, that's cool. So guys, so we have our user, we have our group, and we have our order, guys. That's how the permissions are assigned. So if I wanted to provide the owner of the file, if I wanted to have read, write, execute, right? So this one will have a 7, right? If I wanted to give the group owners read and write, there will be a 6, right? And if I wanted to give every other person just execute, or let me just say read, you just want them to be able to read that file, right? I'll give them a 4. So now when you run that command, you're going to run change mode 764, and then you give the name of the file, and automatically change the permissions of that file. So we can try that real quick, guys. And I hope you guys understand that you have the user.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
So the binary value 0 means nothing, and 1 means like it's just like on and off. And then the 4 value, which it says the 4 base 10 value. So I'm kind of confused here where this value comes from.
Well, yeah, I mean, for Linux, I really can't explain you where those values came from. But one thing I'll guarantee you is, they've always been like that from the first day I learned Linux up to now. That's always been how you change permissions on Linux, right? Like exactly as you see on the screen. It's always has been either a 777, which is all, a 741, and I mean, whoever set this up is probably whoever wrote Linux, right? Basically, that was the guy that set this thing up. Yeah, basically. So that's how it's always been. So to change permission, like you have to just use what we have here, which is these binaries, and this is how it's always been. I mean, there's other ways that you can do it, but so far, from my experience, this is the easiest.
I think I figured that part out.
Yeah.
So what? So here again.
Yeah,
so
you can help.
You said the UGO, right?
Yes.
User. So you're giving the user a permission, right?
Well, when I say user, I kind of mean the owner of the file.
So if
the first one is the owner of that file.
So which means he has the 7, he has everything. So he has permission to, because he's the owner, he's the one who has, it can go into his file and every other thing. So when you give G and you put 6, so the person you're giving that to can only read and write. I'm just trying to get a clarification there.
Yeah, he can read and write, but he cannot execute.
He cannot execute. Okay.
And then the other is every other person that uses that operating system.
Okay. All right.
And then one thing I want to add is you can give yourself as the owner, right? If you're making changes to a file that you own and you give yourself a write and you don't give yourself a read, you won't be able to access that file, bro. Linux takes what you give it to it. As soon as you give yourself a read or a write and you don't give yourself read, as soon as that permission executes and you go back and try to read that file, it will tell you no, you don't have permission.
So I have a question here. So since 7 combines both read, write, and execution.
Yeah.
So if you give yourself a read, which means you're giving yourself just 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna do a little bit more practice on this one, just to drive it home a little bit. So I'll go ahead and clear all my drawings. Let me see if there's any other. So yeah, before we do some practice, I think we should see some more visuals so we can really drive this home. So this is so guys, can you see this is a 700 now, right?
Yeah.
So the owner 7, see, he has read, he has write, he has execute. But then the second 0 is for the group. They have nothing. Dash, dash, dash. And then the other 0 is for any other person. They have nothing. Dash, dash, dash. So only you will be able to do anything to this file. We go to the next one, 755. And guys, 755, remember we said 4 is to read and 1 is to execute. So essentially you're giving yourself read, write, execute, and then you're giving yourself 5 is read and then 1 is execute. So you're giving yourself read and execute. You're giving your groups, owners of people in that group, read and execute, and you're also giving anybody that uses the operating system read and execute. 664, read and write, read, write. So guys, I guess I can ask a question real quick. If I wanted to give myself, or give the owner the group, and also every other person working on that file, if I wanted to them to just be able to read that file, which command, what would it be?
So that would be just 4.
Yeah, but you're trying to assign it to both the owner, the group, and any other person using that file.
It's 744.
It's gonna be 444.
Exactly, 444. So anyway, let's go back. Let's do some practice, guys. Let's see if we can really do this in real life. And this is important, guys. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people have issues with permissions, because everything you have to do in Linux, you're doing it in a particular folder, all right, in a particular directory. And every program that runs in a directory. Every installation that you do, every program that you runs in a directory. So if those directories don't have the right permissions, your scripts can keep failing, or you can keep getting errors or things like that. And you don't know why. So you want to understand how your permissions work. So, okay, so I'll go ahead. So now we have a few files here, guys. I know we have the DevOps file. Let me just list that DevOps. The ls-la. Let's see if I can isolate just to that DevOps. Yep. So guys, anyway, what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to change the permissions of a file. And the only file that I want to mess with right now is going to be a DevOps file, because we created that. I just want to make sure that we have something in the DevOps file, or whether we have something. So I'm just going there real quick. In fact. There's nothing in that DevOps file. Anyway, guys, I want to change the permission of that DevOps file. So, guys, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
I'm trying to highlight that DevOps. Do you see me highlighting the DevOps?
Yes.
Yes.
So, by looking at it right now, can someone tell me what permissions the DevOps file has?
Wait, listen.
Yeah, my machine is really messing up.
Yeah, it's shaking.
Yeah, give me a second, guys. Okay, guys, can someone tell me, if you guys can see, can you tell me what the number of that DevOps file currently is?
So arrow, something, arrow, so right, read. So I'm gonna say rise to.
And I can go back and show you guys the numbers.
Is it?
I think
771.
775.
I missed that.
Can you highlight the particular file?
It's a DevOps file. Yeah, highlighting has been an issue for me with this laptop. That's why I'm trying to stay away from it. There it is.
It's fine. So wait, right, yeah. Okay.
It's X1. So how is it 5?
Well, you see the R, W, and X, right?
Yeah. So those
That's
are
7.
7.
And then
Oh,
don't
R
forget
and
the
X.
dash in the middle. It was supposed to be
Yeah.
for W, but because W has no permissions, it's just a dash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be the R and 1. That would be 5.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't. So what I did, I just kind of like, I didn't see the last R. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So guys, so what I want to do now is I want to make sure that only me, the owner, can access that file. So guys, keep an eye. Now it's 755, but now I'm going to change it to 700. So only me will have access to it. So DevOps. Okay, now it's done. So let me go back and let's use that file again in the long format. So guys, now it's easier for us to understand now because I eliminated all the hidden files. So guys, can you see the permission now?
Yes.
So can you confirm that it's 700?
Yeah, it's just RWX.
Yes, exactly. So guys, this is how you start to manipulate file permissions. So I'm gonna just do it real quick and just, I'm going to change that to, I wanna make sure that even me, the owner, right? I'm not able to do anything to that file. So I could, let me put just an execute as the owner and see what happens, guys. And then when I ls with the long format, guys, you see the file now?
Yes.
Let me try going into it and see what happens.
Execute.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's an execute file. It actually lets me go in there, which is kind of, oh yeah, you see? I can go in there, but I don't have the read permission, so I can't run ls on it. You see that, guys?
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be the owner of that file.
So what if in case something like this happened while you're working and you denied yourself access to the file? So how would you get back into the file?
So if you have admin permissions, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have, it'll be easy. You know, I could just go back and say, oh my God. You know, I could just go back and assign the right permissions, right? For example, I could just go back and say, okay, this, right? And now if I go in there as the owner, you see, now I can run ls, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just change it real quick, but you have to have the right permissions to do that. So anyway, guys, that was some of the gist about permissions. This seems really, it's not complicated, guys, and it's very, very important. I promise you, working with Linux, you're going to face issues about permissions all the time. But you just need to know how permissions work and how to navigate. And another way I can do it is, if I wanted to just change the group, right? If I wanted to change the mode of the group, I can do change mode, right? And group is G, right? So if I wanted to add execute to a group, there's a command you can use. You can change mode. You can say, okay, I want to change the group, right? And what do I want to do? I want to add that group. I want to add a read, right? And guys, this is just advanced if you wanted to be more fancy with it. But the 700-644, that one will totally do what you need to do. But if I wanted to get fancy with it, you know, I could run it like that, right? And automatically add read permission to my group on that file.
So yeah, so what you're saying is you are telling the group to read the DevOps directory.
No, yeah, I'm telling the group. I'm saying that
Giving permission to the group.
You can only read.
no, I'm okay. Yeah, exactly. So I'm telling you, okay, say for example, I wanted everybody that could access our system, and like the O, right? Remember order O. This is O, the third part of the permissions, right? We have owner, group, and then we have order, right? Which is anybody that works on that system. If I wanted every person in that order, guys, and let me do this live so we can be actually changing something that's going to affect it. So let me list that dev out one more time. Let's see what it has. So if we look, we'll see that we added the read to the DevOps to group, right? But I want to go ahead and add read to the order right here. So I'm going to go and I'll run the same command. But instead of the G, I'm going to use O. I'm going to use O. And what I'm trying to do is so let's list that file real quick and see if there's a new error that has been added. Guys, you see that?
Yeah.
There's a new read that's been added to the order right here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a short form. So guys, why I'm saying this is because me as an engineer, there's so many times that I have a file that I wanna execute real quick. Instead of me going and thinking, oh, change mode 755, this and that, you know, if I want to execute a file, you see, I have a file on my system called ab-txt. If I wanted to execute that file real quick, I can just quickly go to my system and say, okay, change mode, guys, change mode, and then I just put plus X, and then I just put the name of that file, ab.txt, and bam, automatically that file is an executable, and I can go ahead and run it real quick. So these are just short forms. But anyway, guys, it's 7:25. Maybe we should go on a short break.
All right.
So guys, guys, don't. I hope this doesn't confuse you guys, but there's another aspect of permissions in Linux that we call is the creation mask. So as you can see on the screen, it determines the default permissions of any directory, right? Remember that when we created the DevOps folder, it came with its own set of permissions, right? Each time you create a file or each time you create a directory, whatever it is, it already has a default permissions if you don't assign the permissions to it, right? So when you create it, it comes with default permissions. And the creation mask is essentially what determines what that default permission is. So if I wanted to say, for example, I want that every file in the DevOps folder, whenever someone creates any document, any file to it, it should only provide 700, right? You use the umask. That's the command to do that. And you run a umask on a directory. When I create any file on that directory, it's going to have those default permissions, and then you can come in there and try to change it. And guys, this is very important, and I'll tell you why. I used to work for a company in Portland. No, it wasn't Portland. I think it was a company in Atlanta. And there was one time we had this issue, guys, that whenever we downloaded our backups, back then I was still doing database. Whenever we tried to unleash, or what should I say, to deploy our backup to restore it, it kept failing. And it kept failing and failing and failing. And when we go in there, and we look at the files in that permission, and we look who owns that particular directory, we were the owners, right? And when we look at the default file permissions of that file, it looked like, you know, we could do anything that we needed on that directory. But whenever we brought in a new file, a new backup, we created a backup and uploaded it, and we tried to restore it, we had permission issues, guys. And, you know, we went through the ls/l, look at the file, and we just couldn't understand what was going on, guys. And the issue was a umask. The default permissions on that folder was the one preventing us. So we had to change the umask before we could create the backup and execute it the way we wanted to. So guys, you can be in trouble at your work and you don't know why the permission issues is. And it's probably a umask. And the umask is different from what we just did. It's like a complete opposite, pretty much. So like you can see on the screen, our best permission, guys, as a 777, right? A 777 is like you're granting pretty much all the permissions you need on a file, right? That's a 777. But if you wanted to do the same thing for UMass, it's like you can see right here, guys. If you wanted to do the same thing for UMax, you're essentially subtracting as opposed to adding. So it might seem a little bit complicated, but once we do the practicals, I think you understand it a lot better. So for example, if you have a 022 for UMask, guys, if you have a 022 for UMask and you subtract this from a 777, what do you get, guys? You get a 755, right? You get a 7. Let's see, 7. What am I even saying? If you subtract this from a 777, you get a 755, right? So if I put a UMax of UMax 022, I'm essentially saying that I want every file that gets created on that directory to have a 755 permission. Yeah, guys. I know. Yeah, it might. It sounds like rocket science, guys, but trust me. Yeah, it's a UMass. So UMass is, you won't have to deal with this, I promise you. You would not have to deal with this ever. But if you, it's just to keep in the back of your mind that if you have some kind of permission issues that you can't resolve, then you should start thinking about maybe it's a UMass. If you provide a UMass of 077, you're essentially saying that I want this file, every file that gets created here to have a 7000 permission. Guys, can you guys get it, understand now the pattern?
Say that again.
So basically with a UMask, whenever you put a UMask on the directory, whatever UMask you put, you're subtracting it from a 777.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I put a UMask of 022, what am I telling that directory?
So you're telling the directory that one will be able to read and to execute every other file, like read, write, and execute. And the 55 is just to read and execute.
Read, execute. Exactly. That's what you're saying. That's what that every file that gets created. So I want us to do a little practice. Do a little practice on this and see if we could drive that point home a little bit. So let me go in there. Oops. Let me go in there. Let me see if we still have that DevOps folder.
Yes.
Okay, let me see into DevOps and see if we can run a.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
So we came down to the 755. So the 7 stands for the admin, I don't want to use my administrator, the person who owns the file.
Yes.
The 55 relates to those who are trying to access the file.
No, the second 5 stands for the group.
The group, and the last one stands for
any other person that runs the operating system.
Okay, so we have so how do you put that? The admin, the group, and then the other. How do you, what code, what number, what symbol do you use for that?
So are you talking about what symbol as in what number do I put, or like?
So the symbol.
Okay, the symbol for order is O.
Oh, uh-huh.
The group
is G. And the other one is A.
Yes.
Okay, got it. That was what I was looking for.
No. The owner is, remember, it's O.
Oh, okay.
It's O.
Uh-huh.
Keep that in mind.
So the owner is O, the G is group, and then the last one is what? U.
Is O. Is
No, Linus.
Yeah, we're mixing up. My bad, guys. I'm confused. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought you said like U is like user, right? You use something.
UGO. Yes.
Yeah.
UGO.
So user,
guys,
group,
keep that in
and
mind.
order. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
UG, guys. Let me type in the screen, guys. UGO.
Yeah, user, group, order.
It's also in the notes. I took some notes. So it's UG.
Yeah, the slides have it. It's UGO.
Okay.
User group order. My bad, guys. So anyway, back to the UMask. So now I just put a UMask of 077. So hypothetically, I'm telling them that any file that gets created in this DevOps repository should have, what is it, guys? What permission should you have?
So it's just going to be 700. So which means
I'm essentially saying that, if I create a file in this directory, the default permission should be 700. So let's see. Let's make sure that the UMask is working. So I'm just going to create a directory called Linus. And then I'm going to ls in the long format. Oops, there's so many S's. In the long format. Yes. In the long format. And let's see what, and guys, you can practice. Guys, what do you see? Is that the 700 or not?
Hold on, let me see. DevOps.
The Linus.
So Linus, right? Or not DevOps? Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly, guys. So guys, now you understand what UMask is, right? So guys, let me talk about UMask one more time. So Umax is what sets the default permissions of any directory. So here we set the Umax for DevOps to be 077, which essentially we're telling them that we want every directory, every file that gets created to have a default permission of 700. Because remember, guys, we are subtracting it from 777. Right, guys?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Separate.
Yeah. So when I created a directory here called Linus, look at what permission he had. He had the 700 that we wanted, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's essentially the power of Unas to control the permissions of a file, what gets created, what permissions they have. So that's essentially what Umax is, guys. It's not that complicated. You just control what the default permissions for directory is. So every directory that gets created here, even if I created a file called test.txt, we're expecting that file should have the default 700 permission. You see that? And this one doesn't even have the execute. Yeah, this one has a read, it has a write, and it doesn't have the execute. But yeah, but essentially what we're saying is we're restricting. So Umax, the power of Umax is restriction. We are restricting our directory. We can restrict and we can control, how the permissions, how our files can be exposed. If you had something, let's say I had my folder that had my Bitcoin, whatever into it, and I had something every week. I added a new file in there with a new Bitcoin wallet address for my new Bitcoin wallet address, just like that. I just wanted to make sure that whenever, a script or whatever it is, whenever I ask that, it doesn't by mistakenly expose that to people, right? So I can put my Umax for that Bitcoin directory to be like a 700, which means that only me all the files that get added to that directory, only me can access it. So even if the script is running and creating new directories and putting that file into it, it's always going to have 700, guys. You get the point? It's always going to have that 700. Each new file is always going to have that 700. So I know that no other person can access that file, even if I'm not there.
I have a question on that though.
Yeah.
You create that file and you put the 700 and you're the only one who can get in. What if there's another system admin who has the same privileges as you? Can that person access that file as well, or is just you?
Yeah, he can. But the good thing about Linux is, you can pretty much you could pretty much start tracking. You could pretty much track people's movements in Linux. That's why remember we talked about before that you have to make sure that the people very limited. In fact, no one is supposed to have a super user access, right? In a company, what you want to do is no one needs to have the super user access. So if you have Bajo, you have Valerie, you have William, you have Felix in your company, you want to create accounts to their names, right? And give them the access they need. Even if you're giving them admin accesses, but you should be giving them to users or to groups and not giving them that super user. So if someone that has that power like William, he goes in there and accesses that file, you can come with Linux, you can be able to trace who access that file last. So Linux has a lot of trailing that you can see. You can trail the logs. It's called access logs, guys. Access logs tells you who was able to access that machine at a particular time. And those are things that you could talk about later, but there's logs in Linux that will track everything, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, this is another command in Linux that's called find. Find is fun, guys. Find will basically find anything, on that machine. So for example, if you type find on your machine now, like I said, it's going to display every file and the subdirectories that's located in that file. So for example, if I type find now, you see, I'm in the DevOps directory and it tells me everything I have. If I go back 2 folders and I type find, it's going to find everything that's in that folder, guys. You see? And it's useless right now, but now you can start finding files by name, right? So let's say I wanted to find a file called Linus. I'll type Linus dash name, the name of that file, and you see it tells me exactly where that file is, guys. You see? It's telling me that if I go into DevOps, I'll find Linus right there. Isn't that cool?
Yep.
Guys, you can do this for any file. And this is how you can start to find any file in Linux, guys. So now we're starting to explore Linux and starting to see the power of Linux, guys. This is why Linux is so important, and this is why Linux is so important, guys. You can basically, if there was a file you created some time ago and you couldn't locate where that file is, this is what you get, guys. Find, that's all you need. Find the name of that file and you tell you exactly where that file is.
I'm starting to notice a trend. Like most of the things, they're really like, they're not so hard to find. For example, if you want to find something, you just do find. If you're
exactly. There's another one called locate.
Groups.
You can try locate too. Locate will find files too.
So most of them are like common words that you use any day anyway. So you just have to try to see if it works.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's other, like, for example, there's iname, which can find patterns, right? Like, but ignores the case. So you see, if you use name, you have to specify. If there's a capital L, you have to specify capital L. If it's small L, you have to specify. But when you use iname, it ignores it, right? And then this is another one, guys. If you want to find a file and then you want to list that file, you can put dash ls, and then you'll be able to find that file and list it for you. And you can keep going. You can find files by time. I can say, okay, I want to find files that have been changed within 10 days. Guys, these are just things that you just have to keep in mind. What find is, when you actually need it, then you can go on your manual or you can go on Google anywhere and say, okay, how do I find files by time? And they will tell you. But once you have it in the back of your mind that you can find files by size. You can have them by time. For example, let me find files that have been changed within the past 2 days. So I'll put that M time and I'll put 2. And I'm hoping, you see, it's telling me that all these files have been changed within the past 2 days. You know why? Because this operating system, I just built it today. You can also find files by the size, and guys, find is so powerful, guys. Find is so powerful. It's so powerful that it can save you tons of time. Tons of time. There's so many things you can do. And this are some other commands, guys, that we need to go through. I know I just talked about cat. And we're going to do some more practice, more or less, with some of this. So there's cat, which display the contents of a file. I know we already did this, guys. Does anybody want me to do this again?
So what I'm thinking, this is just random. If we can have some of this files before class, and as individuals we can go through it, and then once we get a class, it will be much more easier to follow up.
You mean like the slide? Or just you mean the slides or the commands?
I mean the slides. Sorry, the slides that you're showing us right now, the one that is up front right now. If we can have it, and you specified where we should, cover before class, and then while you're going through it, it's actually going to help us way more. I'm just suggesting. I don't know.
Yeah, that's totally fine, man. The only issue is, guys, because this is the first time teaching this class, I actually have to create these slides on the go. Right? So, and with my job and with multiple kids, you never know when I'm going to be done with the slides. So I cannot guarantee you that I'm going to have that file to you 2 days before class. Some of these slides I could finish them maybe 30 minutes before class. You know what I mean? Just because there's so many things going on and it's the first time for this class. But if you can follow along, go back, you review the slides, or just practice along, review the video, which I'm going to make sure we can start having them maybe by the end of the week, next week. That will help. But guys, I put there's so much time that I have to put to some of these slides, and then the job, and then everything. And then you have to also prepare for class. So I really can't guarantee that I can have these slides to you maybe a day or two before class. It's not easy, guys. We got a lot going on. You know, but that's a good suggestion, though.
Yeah.
So if I can get the slides ready, I can send it. If I can get the slides ready, maybe the sooner, if I can get them ready sooner, I can send it to you guys and you can go through it. Yeah, the sooner I get them ready, the better. But yeah, I just can't guarantee that, oh, every class I have the slides to you guys maybe 2 days before class, you know, or a day before class. But I think that's a good suggestion, though, if I can.
I just to add to that a little bit, that's a good suggestion, obviously. But if you cannot give us the slides, maybe if you tell us the topic, then people can like go online and look for.
Yeah, guys. It's Linux, guys. Linux fundamentals, basic Linux commands, and all that stuff, guys. Practice Linux. Yeah, everything Linux.
That way, when we come here, we've had the concept, then you'll narrow it down to what you want to show us, but we have an idea of what we've seen online as well.
Sure,
and then you can narrow it down in class and tell us what you want us to look at.
Sure, guys. Yeah. Thanks for that, Felix. I apologize if you're a little bit confused. You know, Linux takes some getting used to, and I promise you, man, you have to practice. You know, I didn't get good at Linux from just looking at it in class one time. You know what I mean? You know, I looked at it in class, and then I was a little bit confused, and then I went back and I did a little bit of practice, and I would try to look for exercises as well to try to fine tune our Linux knowledge. But by the time we're done with Linux, you know, we should do a hands-on project just to familiarize ourselves with Linux. So I'm going to send the project out when we're done with Linux so we can practice and really make sure that most of the important commands, we have them down. All right, guys?
Sure.
So anyway, so guys, so cat is to display the contents of a file. You know, more is basically the same thing. So these are all, you know, to display files. If a file was too big, you know, you can tail the file. You know, when you tail the file, what you're telling Linux is, I just want the last 10 lines, right? When you head the file, you're telling Linux is, I just want the first 10 lines. So head is the first 10 lines, tail is the last 10 lines, and you can also tell Linux how many lines you want. So if I say tail, you can use a -n, which is like a number, to tell Linux I want -n, and they can say 20. And Linux will know that, okay, I want the last 20 lines. Head -n, 20, I want the first 20 lines, and things like that. So guys, just keep this in mind. And like Boris said, you know, go back and Google, you know, file manipulations, head, tail. And guys, these are essential commands. And I'm going to make sure that, you know, we can talk maybe a little bit about this, you know, a little bit more, and maybe practice with them as well. And then I know someone asked me a question about how can we, was it Felix? How can we edit the file?
Yeah,
how can we put things in the file?
Yes, the question is when you create a file, you use the mkdir, and then you want to store something in the file. So that's what the question is.
Yeah, so there's one thing I want to clarify though. A file is different from a directory. So mkdir creates a directory.
Okay.
To create a file, you use touch.
Okay.
It's funny, guys. It's touch. Touch the name of the file, and then there it goes. You can try on your desktop, on your machine right now. You can put touch and then any name, and it's going to create a file with that name.
Touch and follow.
Yeah, touch and follow. Yeah, just touch.
Just put touch, then any name.
Yeah, and then space the name of the file. We'll create that file for you.
Does it have to be capital C or T or just
the touch?
Yeah.
All of it is lowercase.
Oh, lowercase.
I just want to get something. So a directory and a file. So because when I did a touch, it shows a white color, and
that's a file.
Yeah, that's so the directory. I'm just trying to use let's use for instance we have Java. So is the file like no, the directory like how will you put this?
A directory is basically a folder.
Okay.
You know, inside folders, you have other folders in folders, and you have files in that folder, right?
Yes.
Like your PDFs. Pretty
Yeah.
much. Yes.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
basically what
it makes, it makes sense now.
So you're gonna see how we're gonna be able to edit files. So guys, I want you guys to each person to create a file, create a directory called DevOps, and then in that DevOps directory, create a file of any name. And then we're going to try to go in there and see if we can put something in that file. We can open it.
So we should create a directory called DevOps and then
CD into it, and there you create inside there you create a file. Any name of your choice. So guys, yeah, we're making good progress. If we can be able to finish. I know it's already at 8, guys. If we can, we have some other materials that were prepared for today, but I don't mind us doing it next week. We can wrap it up next week and then add some more materials. But guys, let me know when you finish. We can go ahead and talk a little bit about VI, and maybe next class, because VI can get a little bit confusing at first. Next week we can talk about it. I can give you guys a chance to go back and look at what the VI editor does. Come on, guys, it shouldn't take that long. All you have to do is make D DevOps, CZ DevOps, and touch the file name. That's it, guys.
Yeah, I did that, but I made a mistake initially. I created the DevOps, but I did not CD, and I just created the touch as well. So, but
well, that's not bad, man. I mean, it's just your brain was going faster than your hands. Guys, it shouldn't take that long, guys. We should be picking up this Linux. Especially those commands like make D, CD. Those commands should be second nature by now, guys. LS, because those are the most common commands you're going to use in your career if you work in IT. Those ones should be second nature. Make D, CD, LS, touch. Those 4 commands, those 4 have to be second nature. And they're not that complicated. LS is like list. Make D, MK is like make. D is directory. So make D, make directory. CD, change directory. C is change. D is directory. So guys, all these things, they come from normal words that we use. So it'll be easier to understand that way. Remove directory. RM means remove. RM, remove. And then the directory to remove.
Is that the one that's removed for good?
Well, yeah, but you have to remember, but you have to add the space -rf, which the F stands for force and the R stands for recursive. So it means remove everything, even the parent and the child, pretty much. So it's a dangerous command, guys.
Eradicate everything.
Yeah, eradicate.
Uh,
So yeah, guys. So anyways, let me talk a little bit about this VI editor. So guys, the VI editor is the most powerful editor you ever find, and you will find the VI in every operating system, in Ubuntu, in CentOS, Fedora, and it has so much power. But fortunately for us, you just need to know how to use it to open a file, change that file, and to save it. So basically, to open a file, you just type VI or Vim or View, but usually I use VI to edit. VI and then the name of that file. So guys, if you type VI and the name of the file you just created, it should open it up in an editor for you. Can you guys try that and see what happens? Let me do it on my screen too, guys, so maybe you guys can follow.
It's powerful.
It opened that file, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me do real quick so you guys can see. So I'm gonna sit into DevOps and guys, are you able were you able to type the file?
You said just type anything random, right?
Oh my, I don't spell that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just typing anything funny. And if you notice, guys, because I'm trying to edit it, I'm named. Make sure when you name your file, and that was what I was noticing. Your file has to have an extension. So you can just put the name of your file, maybe linus.txt, william.txt, or any other extension, but txt work nice as a text file. Because if you don't, it's going to think this was a directory, which is not. So I was able to, this one is called test.txt. So make sure you put an extension and then you can type whatever you need into it, guys, like you can see on my screen. And then then there's a few other commands we have to learn. Guys, let me know when you've typed, we could be 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, whatever. And then I could show you how to save that file. So we could end class here and then we could come back here next class. So guys, so when you're done editing your file, there's so many things you can do to it, right? Oh, what's going on? So if you wanted to let's say, oh, I took a file, a configuration file, and I made some changes to it, and then I made a mistake. Or let's say I don't want to save my change anymore. You could do a : Q, enter, and it's not going to save it. It's just going to leave that file empty. Whatever change you added to that file is not going to save it, right? If you wanted to save, to quit, to save your contents and then quit, you put : W, Q, and then exclamation, and it's going to save your content and it's going to exit. So guys, this is what you want to use if you want to save your file and then quit. So when you finish typing, do : W, Q, and then exclamation.
On a separate line?
No, just all that not in the file. Once you hit : right, it's going to take you out of the file. And then it's just going to follow with WQ exclamation and enter. Let me do it on my screen so you guys can see. So : can you see the, oh, why is it type so many columns on the bottom? Not bad. Let me delete all those columns. I only need 1 column. Oops, so guys, you escape and then : and then WQ. Can you see that in my screen? My machine is messy. Can you see that, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so if your column is not coming to the bottom of the screen, then you need to hit escape. And then hit colon WQ exclamation. And then once I press enter, it automatically saves the content of my file. And to confirm, you can just use remember our command cat to display the contents of a file. And then I'll go back to that test file that I just worked on. And guys, can you see?
Yep.
Yeah, these are the exact words I was typing so far that I saved. And now you can see it's in the file. These commands look really slow and basic right now, but guys, I kind of emphasize to you how important this is. You're going to be changing configuration files on your system. You're going to be changing remote files, scripts, YAML files. There's hundreds of things that you could be changing, and you need to know how to use a VI editor so you can change and you can save. And you could be able to save. When you make a mistake, you can quit without saving. Things like that. So guys, make sure you go through the slide, and I'm going to work to make sure that we can have this slide on a dedicated page so you can go back there and practice. And then the videos will also be available. I apologize that it hasn't happened, but guys, as you all know, there's so many things going on. But I'll make sure that I can have the files and the videos so you guys can follow along. And the class has been very quiet. I'm sure many guys, the brains are signed out for today.
Just a lot of info, so we're sucking it in. When you're sucking it for you.
Buy your money, I never hear.
We need to start requesting everybody to put their camera on, so most see everybody there inside class.
I know.
Those other people's where they don't get video, or you don't even know if they're in class or not.
I don't think it's actually in here.
Yeah, the other people you don't even know if they're in class or not.
At some point, I was trying to catch up.
But to be honest, man, if you join the class and you're not here, man.
Yeah.
William, are you in class?
Yeah. When I tried, I went out there when I came back. I tried to create that directory.
Yeah, man, these guys need to, man. Some people are not here.
Yeah,
guys, you can show your face now. Class is over. No need to hide.
I tried to create the directory. It denied me.
I said, Pa.
Okay, Bajo, I need you to diagnose that because we've just done permissions. So that should be your homework. You need to figure out why you don't have permission.
Bajo, the chop, me finish chop first. You go handle them.
So guys, we made huge progress. We didn't finish the slides that I thought we were going to today, but I think we made a lot of progress. We're getting close to understanding the fundamentals of Linux. And I'll throw in a little bit more bonuses. There's more commands that is going to be fun that I'm going to throw in, and then we can actually go in and start doing DevOps stuff, like maybe some Python, guys. Let's keep going. We're almost done. We're almost done with Linux.
I have a question, if that's okay, please.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, with Linux, you know how in like a Windows system, you can put music or PDFs in a folder? Yeah. Is that an option with Linux?
Yeah, you can do anything, bro. This is an operating system. It's even more powerful than any other operating system you have out there, bro. You can put anything. Why you can go do a research on how you can store your files, your PDF file. You see, there's a directory there called music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think that is there for?
Sure.
Yeah. And then there's another one called videos.
Videos,
yeah. Yeah, you can do anything with Linux, my man.
So Linux is very powerful, but not user-friendly. That's what I'm seeing so far.
Well, it is user-friendly. You see, this Linux you have right now, it has a GUI. You understand?
Uh-huh.
But when you're working for a company, the last thing you want is GUI. When you're working for a terminal, when you're working for a virtual machine, or when you're working for a VMware, you cannot have this terminal, guys, because you're working with actual servers that have been built. And those servers, when they build those servers, they build them to run applications, high-intensity applications. So there's no time for pictures and all that stuff. You're trying to run money-making applications, Linux applications, like Java applications. So you're always going to have to work with the terminals.
No, it makes perfect sense. And you're just giving commands. You're not making requests when you're working on the terminal.
Yeah, if you want a GUI, yeah, you have a GUI right there on CentOS. Didn't you see when you click on activities? Didn't you see the browser and all that stuff? Yeah, you could see access the internet and do all that stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, it's not user friendly, but it's for, we call Linux for the big boys.
Yep.
Yeah, it's for the big boys. There's a lot more commands that we have to learn, guys. But I'm going to make sure that we only learn the commands that we need. Everything else you can always build off of, you know. But you know, once you know how to navigate in Linux, that's all you need to learn the DevOps tools that we're about to learn. So, well, we're already starting to understand navigation, CD, LS, editing files. And those are the important ones, guys. Copying. Next class, we're going to learn copying, moving, asterisks, or what we call wildcards. How to use wildcards, user management, how to create users, add users to groups. And then we should be able to wrap Linux up next class, guys. In fact, the fundamentals of Linux, we should be able to wrap it up next class. Hopefully.
Guys, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
we can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you.
We can hear you, bro. Yeah. So what I want to add to what Linus is saying. So for most of you taking this class, or those of you that are still new into IT, if you're not spending 2 to 3 hours a day on this stuff, you're wasting your time. So it's not just about coming here and listening to the class. Like, from my experience, you have to play with it. Like 2 hours a day is enough. Daily. You know? Not just listening to what he's saying and you're thinking you get it. You'll never get it. Never get it. So at least every day, 2 hours, hour and a half, 3 hours a day is fine. You get it. But if it's just you judge these lectures, my friend, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, you will get it in class, but once you go home, that's it.
If you don't use it, you lose it. You know?
Yeah, you have to practice, guys. I think he's saying the right thing, and that's why you have your operating system on your machine right now. So you guys, you need to practice. You have your CentOS now, so guys, you have nothing stopping you.
Yeah, that's why you know, when you send those notes, you really help us, because we can we can go back on those notes and look at those commands and try to, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Because right now, even if we go in there, we don't know what we're doing. We just, you know, I can just go in there and start typing, pushing buttons without knowing what.
You know what? Yeah, guys. You know what? I'm going to share the link, right now, but you know, ideally I want us to have a central place where we can always go, right? We can always go and then we'll find the lectures there. But you know, I'll share the link in the group, in the DevOps group to this particular slides. But then ideally what I'm trying to do is have a central place where you can just go and find every material for the class. So yeah, that's it now, guys. And we went over time. You know, I apologize for that. But yeah, this is it for today. Hopefully next class we can wrap up Linux, and then from there we can do some Python.
All right.
Thank you so much for today. That was a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, man. I know people's brain formatted. And Valerie has been doing this for a while. He's been a DBA for many years, so he knows Linux. But he's still here. You know,
so we have to start hitting his inbox. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Hit his inbox. All right, guys, that's it. I mean, if there's anything else you guys want to talk about, feel free. But if you wanna leave, you're free to leave too. I'm gonna stop the recording right now.
All right.